Hello Reading Zone, I'm Nicola Penfold and I'm here to introduce my new book Between Sea and Sky, which I have here shimmering beautifully in its glorious cover, and this is by a really talented artist called Kate Forrester. Between Sea and Sky is set in an imagined future where sea levels have risen and lots of species have died out or declined, including pollinators like bees and butterflies. Life on Earth has changed drastically. People have lived through a very difficult period of time known as the Hunger Years, and there are now strict rules and regulations in place governing every aspect of life. Travel bans, compulsory shifts in various food production places, and a one-child policy, which means siblings, sisters and brothers are a thing of the past. In this world there lives a boy called Nat on the flat southeast coast of England, which is known for its vast fields of solar panels and a huge tower which grows vegetables and salad plants in artificial light. Nat is 13 years old and he loves riding his bike, and you can see him here on the front cover. And at the start of the story, on a blisteringly hot summer's day, Nat goes on a bike ride with his mates into the solar fields, which is actually another thing that they're not meant to do. The solar fields are forbidden, so Nat and his friends are breaking the rules. They're heading to an ancient windmill, which is the subject of a local ghost story about a boy called Billy Cryer who once died there. So they're all a bit scared, but they're excited, and it's on this trip that Nat makes a very important discovery. And I'm going to read you a tiny section from near the start of the book. And this is where Nat arrives at the windmill, and he's with his friends Lucas and Tally, and they have dared him to put a flag at the top of the windmill. So here we go. Lucas glances across to me. "You don't have to do it, you know." I don't say anything. We're standing at the bottom of the windmill. It's like you slip through to a different time here. No one comes, not even maintenance. Green, straggly vegetation has grown up, and though the gulls barely bother with the land, sometimes they come here and sit at the top of the sails, watching. Lucas's grandmother says the gulls are the souls of all the people that drowned in the floods. "Nat, mate, did you hear?" Lucas says, determined to give me the chance to back out. It doesn't matter to him that Tal is listening. The panels have started up with their whistling. It makes my heart skip a beat or two. There's a film of sweat on the back of my neck. "Do you think Billy was scared?" I ask, suddenly, "the night he climbed?" Tally's gone ahead into the doorway. Her face is dim in the shadows. "You know Cryer wasn't his real name," she says, in a lower tone than usual. "It was because of all his crying that night." Lucas giggles, nervously. "Well, he can't have cried for long, can he? Not after a fall like that." He does the same neck twist that Tally did earlier. A gull screams at the top of the windmill and flutters up into the sky. "Something scared it," Tally says, looking at me intently. I push past her into the windmill. I want it done with. I want that flag up there, and it to be someone else's job to get it down. Now, Nat's not the only storyteller in this book. There's another narrator too, a girl called Pearl. And Pearl lives at sea on a ramshackle old oyster farm. And Pearl's family has a secret, because although in this future world no one's meant to have any siblings, Pearl does. She has a sister called Clover. The two girls live hidden away at sea with their dad, swimming with their friends, the porpoises. And every day when the sea rolls out with the tide, Pearl and Clover explore the huge mudflats that are uncovered. And you can see them both here. This is Pearl here, and this is her sister Clover cartwheeling. And sometimes they find washed up things, bits of sea glass, shells, old things from the past, like broken dolls which Pearl remakes as mermaids. I'm going to read you a little bit of one of Pearl's chapters, and this is when she's going swimming with her sister. "We swim round the platform. We swim in circles and figures of 8. Butterfly, backstroke, front crawl, breaststroke, all the ways Mum taught us to propel ourselves through the water. Grey doesn't stick around for long, and nor do the others. The fish must have moved on. Farewell, Grey. Goodbye, Smile. See you later, Salt. So long, Snort," Clover calls. Dad laughed at us for not picking more eloquent names, but I think they suit the porpoises. We lie on our backs like starfish before diving down, pulling ourselves deeper along the rope lines of the scallop nets and mussel socks, to the oyster cages and clams at the bottom. With a big enough breath of air, we can make it right down to the seabed, where there's barely any light left. Some of the cages are full, crammed with big fat shelves, hardly any space between them. We need to bring them up. They're ready for harvest. I gesture to Clover at the cages. She was meant to have separated these oysters out last week. She told me she had 2. I shake one of the cages pointedly, and the water darkens around us. Clover pulls a funny forgive me face and starts making her way back up to the light. I wait for a moment, the pressure of the sea drumming against my ears. Clover and I used to have competitions to see which of us could stay down the longest, would count out the seconds, holding hands, gazing into each other's eyes. I learned every fleck of green in her blue irises. Clover's lost interest lately. She's always up first, wanting to surface. I kick my way up after her. Race you, Clover cries as I break the surface, and she shoots on by towards the flats, butterfly stroke fast to make me laugh. We have to do those cages, I say when I reach her, sprawled languidly on the mud. The alga's bad again. Clover pulls a face. Later though, we'll do it together, after larking. Larking is their name for mud larking, so finding the old things that wash up on the sand and the mud near their oyster farm. So we have 2 narrators. We've got Nat, this land boy who has been taught to be scared of the sea. The building where Nat lives is built on stilts to protect it from storm surges and flooding. And we have Pearl, a seagull, who has been taught to be scared of the land. It's full of poisons from years of intensive farming. And besides, Pearl has a secret to keep, that there are 2 of them, sisters. But what happens when these 2 worlds, land and sea, collide? What secrets should be kept and what rules should be broken? Thank you, The Reading Zone. I really hope you enjoy it, Between Sea and Sky.